The first time my best friend asked when I planned to marry her, she was holding a dish of green beans and looking like she meant it, and her grandmother had lit the fuse a second earlier. Vivian Carter asked the question first. Ruby just made it dangerous. I was 27 then, old enough to know a fork in the road when I saw one, and apparently young enough to sit there with butter on my thumb while it happened. My name is Nathan Brooks, and I made my living fixing up old houses around Maryville, Tennessee, mostly sagging porches, warped doors, and back rooms nobody had loved in decades. That meant I spent my days making tired old spaces feel like home, like somewhere a person could sit down and breathe again. My own place had one leaning bookshelf I kept meaning to level and a coffee maker I trusted more than most people. Ruby had been my best friend for a little over 2.5 years. We met when she backed into my extension ladder at a rental she was staging, sent a bucket of screws across the floor, and blamed the bucket for sitting where a bucket sits. She was 26, worked as a wedding planner, and had the rare gift of making chaos apologize to her. She also had dark hair she pinned up with whatever was nearest, a pencil, a chopstick, once a drill bit. She had brown eyes that caught every small lie I told, and a way of smiling that had lately started to cause me problems. Not problems I planned to bring up. Ruby had ended a long relationship 5 months earlier. I had carried 7 boxes down from her ex's apartment while she told me, in a very even voice, that if I said one word about the box marks someday, she would leave me on the shoulder of the highway. I said nothing. I also never told her I had disliked the man from the first handshake. That Sunday, Ruby had asked me to her folks' place because her grandmother Vivian was convinced a single man could not properly feed himself. Vivian was not entirely wrong, but I resented how right she was. Dinner was loud and easy. Ruby's father, Hank, argued with a baseball game from the front room. Her younger brother, Cody, stole biscuits when he thought the table wasn't watching. Ruby sat close enough that her knee kept finding mine under the table, and each time it landed, it stayed a beat longer than an accident would. I noticed. Of course I noticed. Then Vivian, passing me the green beans, said, "So, when are you two getting married?" I almost dropped the dish. Cody stopped chewing mid-biscuit. Hank leaned around the doorway, suddenly more interested in this than in any game. Ruby didn't laugh. She looked at her grandmother, then at me. "Well," she said. I stared at her. Well, what? Well, when? There are moments when your mind lines up several answers and throws them all out for being likely to wreck your life. I landed on, I wasn't told there was a calendar. Ruby's mouth curved. You fix up houses, I plan weddings. Between the two of us, we should manage one wedding without hurting ourselves. Cody choked on a biscuit. Vivian looked thrilled. Hank quietly turned the game down. I searched Ruby's face for the wink, the smirk, any sign she was pulling us both out with a joke. Instead, she held my eyes with a steadiness that made the whole kitchen feel smaller. "June's my busy season," I managed. "November then," she said, "indoor or outdoor." "Don't be foolish, Nathan. You know I can't stand an outdoor wedding. I know you can't stand mosquitoes. I also can't stand wind, folding chairs, and vows nobody in the back row can hear." Vivian put both hands over her heart. "You've talked about vows." "No," Ruby and I said at the same time. That finally cracked the room open. Everybody laughed, Ruby included, and I did my best to laugh along. But under the table her fingers found my wrist, not a tap, not an accident. She wrapped them lightly around it and left them there, and my pulse took off like it had somewhere it needed to be. After dinner, Ruby followed me into the kitchen with a stack of plates. We had cleaned up in that kitchen enough times to move around each other easily, without a word. She scraped the leftovers into containers while I loaded the dishwasher, and I handed her the blue lid before she reached for it, and she slid the silverware basket out before I could ask. It was ordinary, and that was what made it feel like more than it was. "You got quiet in there," she said. "Your grandmother handed me a wedding date over green beans," I said. She asked a fair question. I turned toward her. "Did she?" Ruby leaned back against the counter and crossed her arms, and a loose strand of hair had fallen across her cheek. Without deciding to, I reached out and tucked it behind her ear, and then my hand just stopped there. Her eyes came up to mine. For 2.5 years, Touching Ruby had been the easiest thing in the world, a shoulder to lean on, her boots in my lap during a movie, her head against my arm in the truck. But something had shifted these last few weeks, and now my fingers against her cheek felt like a confession I hadn't practiced. She didn't pull back. "You missed one," she said quietly. "One what?" "One strand." I lowered my hand. "Hazard of the trade," I said. "I mostly work on houses, and houses don't look at me like I've let them down." "No," she said, "they just sit there being disappointing on their own schedule." "You calling me disappointing?" The humor slid off her face. Before she could answer, Vivian shuffled in carrying 2 water glasses, saw the lack of space between us, and stopped. "I forgot my water," she said, sounding far too pleased with herself. "Don't mind me." "We're doing the dishes," I said. "Of course you are," she said, and she left without either glass. Ruby laughed under her breath. "Subtle woman. I'm starting to see where you learned it," I said. She bumped her hip into mine. "You like me direct." That landed harder than it should have. "I like you," I said, and it came out before I could sand the edges off it. Ruby went still. I could have added, as a friend. It was sitting right there, easy and safe. For once I didn't reach for the exit. Her face changed slowly, not quite surprise, more like relief that wasn't sure it was allowed yet. "I like you too," she said. From the front room, Hank hollered at the game again, and the moment loosened just enough for both of us to breathe. An hour later, she walked me out to my truck. A soft rain had started, silver under the porch light. I opened the passenger door out of old habit, then remembered she wasn't riding with me, and she came and stood beside it anyway. "You know Grandma was teasing," she said. "I figured," I said. "And I was teasing too." That sentence should have settled me down. It didn't. Ruby studied my face, then stepped in under the open door with me to get out of the rain, and the space that was narrow. Her shoulder pressed into my chest, and whatever soap she used made it hard to hold a clean thought. "But not all the way teasing," she said. My hand tightened on the top of the door. "Ruby," I said. "I watched your face when she asked," she said. "You looked like you were enjoying it." I was scared out of my mind. That turned me fully toward her. "Of what?" "That you'd laugh too hard," she said. Rain ticked off the metal above us. She reached up and straightened the collar of my jacket, though nothing was wrong with it. "I don't need to marry you tomorrow, Nathan," she said. "I haven't lost my mind." "Good," I said. "Tomorrow's a work day." She smiled, but her fingers stayed on my chest. "I just figured something out when she asked," she said. "What's that?" The idea didn't scare me. My heart gave one hard, beat. She looked up, and every bit of the teasing was gone. "So I need you to answer a different question," she said. "What question?" Her fingers curled in my jacket and pulled me an inch closer. "Would it really be so awful," she said, "if we stop pretending this is only friends?" "No," I said. Her grip loosened on my jacket, and for one terrible second, I watched her face start to close. Then I put my hand to her waist and pulled her in against me. "No," I said again, "it wouldn't be awful." Her breath caught. I had pictured kissing Ruby before, more times than a decent best friend should admit to. In those pictures, I was smooth and sure, and standing somewhere nicer than her parents' gravel driveway in the rain. The real thing was better. Her palm slid up my chest and settled at the back of my neck, and she searched my face, giving me one last chance to back out. I didn't. I leaned down and kissed her. It started careful, almost afraid, like we both thought one wrong move would drop us straight back into friendship. Then Ruby came up on her toes and kissed me again, with enough certainty to clear every careful thought out of my head. And I pulled her closer, and she made a soft sound against my mouth, and 2.5 years rearranged themselves right there in the driveway. Every movie night, every late phone call, every time she'd fallen asleep on my shoulder, every long look I'd talked myself out of, because wanting more felt like the fastest way to lose her. When we finally came apart, she kept her forehead against mine. "Well," she said. "Well, what?" "That was inconveniently good," I said. She laughed, quiet and breathless. "I can apologize," I said. "Don't you dare." She kissed me once more, shorter, no less deliberate. Somewhere behind us a curtain moved. Ruby glanced at the house. "My grandmother is absolutely watching," she said. "My whole family may be watching. Cody's probably charging admission." As if she called it. The porch light blinked twice. Ruby groaned. I'm changing my name, she said. I hear Brooks is available, I said. Her head snapped toward me, and I froze. That was a joke, I said. I know, she said. Too soon. Wildly, she said. Should I drive off now? Probably, she said. Neither of us moved. Rain gathered along the edge of the truck door and dropped between us. Ruby traced the seam of my jacket with one finger, and her smile faded into something more open, more careful. What happens now, she said. It was the same question I'd been dodging since the kitchen. Now was easy. Now she was warm against me, and kissing her felt less like crossing a line than like showing up somewhere late. Tomorrow was the hard part. You ended a 5-year relationship 5 months ago, I said. She stepped back, not far, but I felt every inch of it. I know exactly how long ago it was, she said. I'm not judging you. It sounds a little like judging me. I'm trying not to take something you're handing me in a weak moment. Ruby folded her arms. You think I kissed you because Grandma cracked a joke, she said. No, because you're lonely, or I don't know. Her jaw tightened, and I hated that I put that look on her, but I couldn't pretend the timing didn't matter. Ruby's ex had picked out every piece of their future without once asking what she wanted, then called her difficult when she pushed back. I'd watched her spend months gluing herself back together. I would not be one more man deciding what her feelings meant. I believe you want this, I said. I also know I've wanted it long enough that I'm not exactly a neutral party. Her face softened a little. How long, she said. That was not where I expected her to aim. Nathan, how long? I looked toward the porch. The curtain moved again. She reached up and turned my face back to hers. Ignore the surveillance operation, she said. I let out a breath. The ladder, I said, the day we met. Her lips parted. The day you attacked my extension ladder. The bucket did it, she said. Stan corrected. You laughed at me for carrying 3 different levels in one bag. I said. You look like a man about to build a cathedral. And then you bought me coffee because you knocked over my screws. I bumped them. You lost my count. It was emotionally fragile counting. I smiled in spite of myself. You wrote your number on the cup, I said, for insurance. You drew a heart next to it. That was the barista. You handed me the cup. Ruby narrowed her eyes. I like your face, she said. The plain honesty of it hit harder than the kiss had. You were seeing someone, I said. I know, she said. So I behave. You gave me your number and then introduced me to your boyfriend in the same 5 minutes. In the first phone call, she said, I already wanted to be your friend. She paused. I just didn't expect being your friend to turn into the best part of my week. I forgot about the rain. I forgot about the windows full of relatives. I only saw her. This can't be a rebound, I said quietly. I won't be the guy you try out because the last one failed. You're not an experiment, she said. Then let's do it right, I said. One eyebrow went up. Right, she said. One date, I said. We've had 100 dinners as friends, she said. You held my hair the night the shrimp went bad. Not part of the date. You've watched me cry in a drugstore because they stopped making my one lipstick. Also not part of the date. You already know too much about me to date me properly, she said. I know enough to plan a night you'll actually like, I said. She considered that. Rules, she said. No family commentary. No talking about hypothetical weddings. No pretending it doesn't count. And at the end I take you home, I said. That sounds alarmingly respectful, she said. I'll do my best to disappoint you, I said. She leaned in. Don't try too hard, she said. Then she kissed my cheek and slipped out from under the truck door. Tomorrow, she called, heading for the porch. 7, I said. I didn't say tomorrow. You've waited 2.5 years, she said. I'm not making you sit through another week. The front door opened before she reached it. Vivian stood there in a housecoat, making zero effort to look casual. Good night, Nathan, she called. Good night, Vivian, I said. November's got nice weather. Ruby pushed her grandmother back inside, and I drove home grinning like a fool. The next evening I picked Ruby up at 7. I didn't take her anywhere expensive. Ruby spent her whole working life inside decorated barns and ballrooms, folded napkins, flowers trucked in at dawn. She knew to the dollar what it cost to manufacture a romantic evening. So instead, I drove us to the little downtown theater that ran old films on Mondays. They were showing the black and white mystery she quoted whenever she wanted to sound dramatic. Ruby looked at the marquee, then at me. You remembered, she said. You made me watch it 6 times, I said. 7, she said. That's not the correction you think it is. She had on a deep green dress I'd never seen, soft at the sleeves, and her hair was down for once. I tried not to stare, and failed obviously enough to make her smile. Are you going to tell me I look nice? She said. I was aiming for a full sentence, I said. Take your time, she said. You look beautiful, I said, and the teasing left her face. So do you, she said. I'm wearing a clean shirt. A surprisingly successful shirt, she said. We bought popcorn, split a soda, and sat in the back row, and halfway through the film her hand slid into mine. It shouldn't have felt so different. It did. Our fingers had laced 100 times before, in crowded markets and dark parking lots. But this time her thumb moved slow across my knuckles, and this time I knew she was aware of every place we touched. After, we walked under the theater lights while she explained why the ending was perfect, and I argued the detective ignored plain evidence. You're missing the point, she said. The point is he's bad at his job. The point is love makes people do foolish things, she said. That's convenient writing, I said. She stopped by my truck. You kissed your best friend in your own headlights last night, she said. I had compelling evidence, I said. What evidence? You kissed me back. Ruby stepped closer, the green dress brushing my leg. And if I did it again, she said, I'd have to update my theory. Her hands settled on my shoulders. Very professional, I said. I take my research seriously, she said. This kiss wasn't careful. I backed into the side of the truck as she kissed me, and I laughed when I nearly dropped my keys and my hands found her waist, and she pressed in, warm and sure. Then she pulled back just far enough to talk. I need to tell you something, she said. My chest tightened. That sentence has never once improved an evening, I said. I applied for a job before we kissed, she said. Okay. In Charlotte. The noise of the street seemed to back away from us. Ruby's fingers tightened on my shoulders. They offered it to me this afternoon, she said. I've got until Friday to decide. I took my hands off her waist, not because I wanted the distance, but because if I kept holding her, I was going to say something selfish. When would you start? I asked. 3 weeks, she said. That's soon. I know, she said. Is it a good job? Her eyes drifted past me to the theater. Director of venues for a whole hotel group, she said. More money, bigger events, my own team under me. Her dream job, in other words. I made myself smile. That's incredible, I said. That's all, she said. What do you want me to say? Something that sounds like you'd care if I left, she said, and folded her arms, suddenly guarded. I care, I said. You stepped back from me. So I wouldn't ask you to give up a dream 5 minutes after our first date. You could still have a reaction, she said. I'm having several, I said. Most of them aren't helpful. Try me, she said. I looked at her, standing under the marquee in the green dress she'd picked out for me. I want you to stay, I said. Her breath caught. I want to take you out again tomorrow, I said. I want to kiss you without wondering if I'm starting something with a deadline on it. I want to be happy for you, without feeling like somebody just knocked the wind out of me. I pushed my hands in my pockets. But you applied before any of this changed, I said, and I'm not going to make you carry how long it took me to say what I wanted. You didn't take that long, she said. I could have said it too. Then why didn't you? Because I was with someone, she said, and then I was busy trying to remember who I was without him. She looked down, and by the time I felt like myself again, this offer was already sitting on the table. A couple came out of the theater behind us, laughing, and I envied them their simple night. Do you want the job? I asked. Yes. It stung, but it came out of her with no hesitation. Then she added, I want you too. That stung in a completely different place. I stepped toward her again. Those two things don't have to cancel each other out, I said. You want to try long distance after 1 date, she said. No, I said. I want to try long distance after 2.5 years and 1 date. Her mouth tugged sideways despite her. That's a terrible slogan, she said. I fix porches, I don't write them. I said. It's 4 hours, I own a truck. You complain when a hardware store's more than 10 minutes out. The hardware store doesn't kiss me. You don't know what the guys at the paint counter get up to after close. I caught her hand and drew her back in. Are you trying to make me jealous of a hardware store? I said. Is it working a little? She said. She laughed, and the knot in my chest loosened notch. I touched her cheek. Take all the time you need to decide, I said, but don't decide it based on what you think I can survive. What can you survive? She said. Finding out. You'd really try, she said. I'm standing here telling you I've wanted you since the day we met, I said. I'm not quitting because a stretch of interstate is inconvenient. She came up on her toes and kissed me. And this time there was no audience, no family behind the curtains, no joke handing either of us a place to hide. Just Ruby choosing me and me choosing her back. When she drew away, her eyes were bright. Take me home, she said. The words put heat through me, but I made myself ask, your home or mine? Mine, she said. Nathan, I'm not asking you to sleep with me. Oh, she gave me an amused look. Try not to sound so heartbroken, she said. I was recalibrating, I said. I don't want to be alone tonight, she said, and I don't want the date to end like this. So I drove her home. We changed into old clothes and sat cross-legged on her living room floor with takeout boxes between us. Ruby wore sleep shorts and a college sweatshirt of mine she'd stolen a year back. I'd seen her in it dozens of times. I had never once had to work so hard not to think about how little she had on under it. "Eyes up, Brooks," she said. I was admiring the school logo. I said, "It's 4 inches higher than that." "The design has excellent flow," I said. She threw a napkin at me. We talked past midnight, not just about the job, but about us, the parts we'd hidden, the near misses. She told me she'd almost kissed me at Cody's birthday the summer before. "You spent that whole night talking to the bartender," I said. "I was finding out if she was single," she said. "For yourself." "For you, you idiot," she said. "You'd been staring at her." I was reading the drink list behind her head. Ruby covered her face. "I went home furious," she said. "I went home wondering why you kept glaring at me." I said. "You could have asked. You could have kissed me." "I was in a relationship," she said. "I know. That's why I didn't ask." She lowered her hands. "You really waited all that time," she said. "I wasn't waiting," I said. "I was being your friend and wanting more." "Both can be true." Her face went soft. "Come here," she said. I moved over beside her on the couch, and she tucked herself against my chest and pulled a blanket over us, and we kissed slow, without the urgency from outside the theater. Her fingers moved through my hair. Mine traced the line of her spine through the sweatshirt, learning the difference between touching my best friend and touching the woman I wanted. At one point she pulled back, breathing unevenly. "If you keep doing that," she said, "I'm going to reconsider my earlier statement." "Which one?" She stared at me. "The sleeping together one," she said. I still my hand at her waist. "Then I'll stop," I said. "Didn't say you had to. You said you weren't asking." "I'm aware," she said, "and tonight's already complicated enough." "It is," I said. She looked at me a long moment, then kissed the corner of my mouth. "Stay anyway," she said. "Absolutely," I said. We fell asleep on that couch, with her head over my heart. In the morning I woke to sunlight, a dead arm, and Ruby watching me. "How long have you been up?" I asked. "Long enough to hear you snore," she said. "I don't snore." "You made a sound like an offended tractor," she said. "I was having a farming dream," I said. She smiled and traced my eyebrow with one fingertip. "This feels different," she whispered. "It is different," I said. "I'm scared." "Me too." "Good." "Why is that good?" "Because I'd feel ridiculous being scared by myself," she said. I kissed her forehead. "You're not doing any of this by yourself," I said. For the next 4 days, we acted like two people trying to cram the start of a whole relationship into a shrinking window. I brought lunch to her office. She rode along on a late porch job and danced through the empty rooms when she thought I wasn't looking. We kissed in a truck cab, in parking lots, once in the middle of a furniture store, until an employee politely asked if we needed help picking out a couch. And under all of it sat Charlotte and Friday and a clock neither of us mentioned. Have you ever had the best thing in your life show up on the exact week it might have to leave? Tell me about it in the comments. I want to hear it. Friday evening, Ruby asked me to meet her on the walking bridge over the river. She stood in the middle of it, wind pulling at her hair, town lights coming up behind her. "I took the job," she said. I'd braced for that answer. It still hollowed something out of me. "Okay," I said. That's all you're going to say again, she said. I'm proud of you, Ruby. I said, I'm sad for me. I'm proud of you. I'm scared for us. Pick one, and I'll expand. She stepped closer. Ask me to stay, she said. I stared at her. You told me to make my own choice, she said. I did. I chose the job. Then why would I ask? Because part of me has been standing here all week, waiting for you to fight for me. I'm fighting for you, I said. I'm just not fighting your future. Her eyes filled. What if I don't want noble, she said. What if I want you to give me one selfish reason to stay? Stay because I love you. It came out louder than I meant it to. A man walking a dog behind us turned his head. Ruby didn't seem to hear anything past the space between us. What did you say? She said. I love you, I said. She stood there, lips parted, and I stepped in because there was no safe distance left to keep. You want selfish, I said. Stay because I already hate waking up without you, and I've only had a handful of mornings to get used to the idea. Stay because you're the first person I want to tell when something goes right, and the only one I call when it goes wrong. Stay because every empty room I fix up, I catch myself picturing what ours would look like. A tear slipped down her cheek, and I brushed it away. Stay because I'm in love with you, Ruby, I said. I have been longer than either of us wants to say out loud. She caught my wrist. Then ask me, she said. I swallowed. Stay. Her eyes closed, and for one suspended second, I thought she might say yes. Then she leaned in and pressed her forehead to my chest. I can't, she said. It felt like the bridge dropped out from under me. My arm still went around her. I know, I said. I hate you for understanding, she said. I could be unreasonable if it helps, I said. I want both, she said. Then we try for both, I said. She drew back. You still want to, she said. You leaving doesn't change what I said. Nathan, I don't know if this works. Neither do I. What if we ruin the friendship? I gave a short laugh. You kissed me in your parents' driveway, I said. The friendship's already ruined. That isn't funny. It's a little funny. She hit my chest, then grabbed my jacket and pulled me into a kiss, wet with tears, desperate enough to make the whole town disappear. I held her face in both hands and kissed her with every selfish reason I just handed her and every unselfish reason I was still going to let her go. When we broke apart, she kept hold of me. I love you too, she whispered. It hurt and it healed in the same breath. You could have led with that, I said. You were making a speech. It was a good speech. A little dramatic, she said. We're on a bridge at night. I read the room. 3 weeks later, I helped load her things into a rented truck. Vivian cried openly on the porch and told me twice that Charlotte was too far to bring a casserole. Hank checked the tire pressure 4 separate times. Cody carried one lamp, announced he'd hurt his back, and vanished until the pizza showed up. When it was time to go, Ruby and I stood beside her car. You could come with me, she said. I looked at my truck. I said. I'm driving right behind you. I mean for good, she said. It was the first time either of us had said it out loud. I've got jobs booked out 2 months, I said. I know, and you need time to find out if you even like this job, I said. I know that too, she said. But after that, I let it hang there. Ruby looked hopeful and frightened at once. After that, we talk, she said. We're terrible at talking. We're excellent at talking, I said. We're terrible at saying the important part. She looped her arms around my neck. I love you, she said. I love you too. See, she said, improving already. I followed her to Charlotte, carried boxes up 3 flights, put a bookshelf together backward, and spent the first night on a mattress on her floor. We didn't sleep much. Her alarm went off at 6 the next morning, and she reached blind across my chest to kill it. First day, I said. Tell them I died, she said. You're awfully warm for a dead woman. Natural talent, she said. I kissed her awake slow enough that she was smiling before she opened her eyes. Stay 1 more day, she said. I've got a job at 3. Cancel it. You like dating a man who pays his rent, I said. She opened one eye. Dating, she said. You object, I said. No, she said, and her smile spread. Say it again. I pay my rent, I said. Nathan, my girlfriend has a demanding job, I said. She kissed me until I nearly missed the drive home. Long distance was not romantic most of the time. It was traffic and dead spots on the phone, and comparing two calendars until one of us got short. It was dinner over video, pretending frozen lasagna tasted better because we were technically eating it together. But there were the other moments. Ruby drove 4 hours once, just to hand me a coffee before a sunrise shoot for a client's listing. I spent a Tuesday night standing at the back of a ballroom while she ran a charity gala, watching her steer 60 staff with a headset crooked in her hair. At midnight, she found me sitting alone at a decorated table. "This is either very supportive or very creepy," she said. "I contain multitudes," I said. She dropped into the chair next to me and kicked off her heels. "Dance with me," she said. "There's no music." "There was music for 6 hours," she said. "I'm enjoying the quiet." I took her hand and walked her onto the empty floor, and we moved under half the lights, while the cleanup crew broke the room down around us. Ruby laid her cheek on my shoulder. "This is my favorite part of a wedding," she said. "Watching strangers stack chairs. After everyone's gone," she said, "all the pressure's over, and the people who actually matter are still standing there." I kissed the top of her head. "I'm still here," I said. "I know," she said. After 2 months, the drive started grinding us down. I missed a dinner with her co-workers when a client stretched a job past dark. She missed my birthday breakfast when a reception ran past midnight. Neither of us blamed the other, which somehow made the letdown worse. In our worst fight, Ruby said I treated the relationship like an appointment I could push. I told her she was the one whose whole life needed color coding to function. She hung up. I called back 12 seconds later. "I'm sorry. We both said it once, but sorry didn't shorten the interstate." A week after that, a builder in Charlotte offered me a 6-month contract, restoring a row of old houses a developer was flipping across the county. It was better work than I'd been scraping together, with enough slack to keep a few clients back home. I didn't tell Ruby, not right away. I wanted to know I could stand up a life there, not just trail into hers. So I spent a month driving down for meetings, walking through apartments, running the numbers on a calculator. Ruby knew I was working on something. She also knew I've never once kept a secret cleanly. On our 3-month anniversary, she called me from her apartment. "You forgot," she said. My stomach dropped. "Forgot what?" "Dinner." I checked the time. Then I looked at the front door, which was directly in front of me. "I'm sorry," I said. "You said 8. "I know," she said. "I bought real groceries, Nathan. Ingredients. Some of them are green." "That's serious." "I was going to cook," she said. "Now I'm genuinely frightened," I said. Silence. "You aren't funny," she said. "Open your door," I said. Another silence. Then the door swung inward, and Ruby stood there barefoot in the yellow dress I loved, phone still against her ear. Her frustration fell off her face when she saw me in the hall. Then her eyes dropped to the 2 suitcases beside me. "You're here," she said. "I am." "For how long?" I held out a key. She stared at it. "What is that?" she said. "My apartment," I said. Her eyes went wide. 2 blocks over," I said. 6-month lease, that contract I told you not to worry about. No sleeping in my truck. No you carrying the blame if I end up hating the traffic." Ruby lowered the phone. "You're moving here," she said. "I'm choosing here," I said, and I stepped in. "I'm choosing you." She threw her arms around me hard enough to knock me into the wall, then pulled back suddenly. "Wait," she said. "You rented an apartment." "Yes," without letting me see it. "I figured the romance of a gesture would outweigh your need to inspect it," I said. "It does not," she said. "Does it have a dishwasher closet space? Is there?" "Ruby, we can negotiate," I said. She kissed me, laughing against my mouth, and when she finally let me breathe, she took the key out of my hand. "I have something for you too," she said. "You cooked, I know," I braced. She disappeared inside and came back with an envelope. Inside was a single photo of a small brick storefront back home. I looked up. "What is this?" I said. "The future office of Ruby Carter Events," she said. My chest went tight. "You're moving back," I said. "Not exactly," she said, and bit her lip, failing to hide the smile. "The hotel group wants to open a division back home next year. They asked me to run it." "Next year," I said. "If I say yes," she said. I lifted her off her feet, and she laughed while I spun her around the little hall. Then her smile softened. "There's one condition," she said. "What condition?" "They want my answer Monday, she said, and she touched her forehead to mine. And if I come home, she said, I don't want to go back to living clear across town from you. You want to live together, I said. Her smile turned uncertain. That sounded less alarming in my head, she said. I set her back on her feet, but kept my arms around her. We've officially dated 3 months, I said. We've been inseparable 2.5 years, she said. We currently live 4 hours apart, I said. Exactly, she said. If we can survive that, we can survive 1 bathroom. You own 43 hair products, I said. 41, she said. I finished 2. And you leave water glasses on every flat surface in the county. You use decorative towels to wipe down your tools, she said. They're absorbent. They're decorative. I kissed her before a first house fight could get going. Yes, I said. She pulled back. Yes, you'll stop wrecking my towels, she said. Yes, I want to live with you, I said. Her whole face lit. Really? She said. I just moved 2 blocks away. I said, give me a couple months before you steal my closet. Your closet? Our closet, I corrected. Better, she said. We agreed to spend the next year in Charlotte. I kept my apartment, mostly because Ruby insisted that choosing each other didn't mean skipping every step between a first kiss and a shared mortgage. In practice, I slept at my own place about twice a week. The rest of the time, my toothbrush stood next to hers. My tool bags took over one corner of her living room, and her dresses slowly migrated into my closet, which told me she'd launched a quiet campaign for territory. We learned the ordinary parts of loving each other. Ruby sang while she cooked and swore while she assembled furniture. I forgot to replace the empty paper towel roll and needed dead silence before my first cup of coffee. She liked the bedroom freezing at night. I slept with 1 foot out from under the blanket. Our first real fight came when I took a weekend job without checking the date against her company gala. Our second came because she apologized for being upset when she had every right to be. The third was about a rosemary plant neither of us remembered buying. But every fight ended with the 2 of us on the same side. Sometimes that took 5 minutes. Sometimes it took a whole evening and a long walk around the block. Once it took Ruby sitting up on the kitchen counter while I stood between her knees. I'm scared you'll wake up one day and decide this moved too fast, she said. I rested my hands on her legs. I'm scared you'll think you owe me something because I came here, I said. I don't. I know. And you don't regret coming. I regret that interstate with my whole soul, I said, but not this. I kissed her softly. She wrapped her legs around my waist. Good answer, she said. Do I get a prize? You may have 1 decorative towel, I said. I was hoping for something else, she said, and her smile changed. That can be arranged, I said. By that spring, Ruby had built the most profitable events team the company had. My contract got extended then widened. When the hotel group officially approved the division back home, Ruby said yes before they finished making the offer, and we went home together. The little brick storefront from her photo became Ruby Carter Events, tall front windows, an office she painted the exact green of that first date dress. We rented a house 10 minutes from her parents. It had 2 bedrooms, a crooked back fence I itched to fix, and enough light through the windows that I fell for it before the agent finished opening the blinds. Ruby walked through the empty living room, turned a slow circle, and looked at me. What? I said. You've got that face, she said. What face? The one you make right before you fix something, she said. I'm deciding where the couch goes, I said. We don't own a couch, she said. We'll get one. A real one, she said. I've evolved, I said. She came and stood in front of me. Can you see us here? She said. I looked past her at the sunlit floor, then back at the woman I'd once been too scared to want. I've seen us everywhere, I said. We signed the lease that afternoon. 3 weeks later, we had dinner at her parents' place. Vivian made a pot roast, green beans, and a dish of mashed potatoes. She sat down like a woman with a plan. I should have known. Ruby sat beside me with her knee against mine. Hank watched the game from the front room. Cody stole a biscuit and denied it with his mouth full. It was almost exactly like that first night. Vivian waited until I'd taken the green beans. So, she said, when are you 2 getting married? I set the dish down careful. Ruby turned toward me, her brown eyes bright. Well, she said, when? This time I had an answer. I pushed my chair back and stood, and the room went quiet. Ruby stared as I reached into my pocket. No, she whispered. Yes, I said. I lower myself onto one knee beside her chair. Vivian made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a shout. Hank muted the game. Cody lunged for his phone until his grandmother knocked it out of his hand. I opened the ring box. Ruby covered her mouth. I've had this 6 weeks, I told her. I kept waiting for the perfect place. And you picked green beans, she said. I was ambushed here once. Seemed fair to return the favor, I said. She laughed, already crying. I took her hand. Ruby, I said, you've been my best friend since the day you assaulted my ladder. The bucket did it, she said. I stand corrected, I said. You make every room feel less empty, I said. You challenge me. You drive me up a wall. You make me laugh at the worst possible moments. And you love me better than I knew a person could. Her fingers shook in mine. I don't want to plan a future around you, I said. I want to build one with you. So since you keep asking when, how does November sound? She slid out of her chair and dropped to her knees in front of me. Indoor wedding, she said. Obviously. No folding chairs. Never. No vows people can't hear. I'll spring for a microphone, I said. And you'll let me plan it with a professionally enforced budget. That last part needs discussion, I said. Is that a yes? She said. Ruby framed my face in both hands. Yes, she said, and she kissed me while her family cheered. Then Vivian hollered. I knew it, loud enough that we both started laughing. We married that November in the little downtown theater where we'd had our first date. Ruby came down the aisle in a simple ivory dress, hair loose over her shoulders, and I forgot every word I'd practiced the second I saw her. In my vows, I promised to love her through job offers and interstates, through water glasses on every surface, and all future crimes against decorative towels. In hers, she promised never to make me sit through an outdoor wedding, unless somebody paid her an unreasonable sum. We had our first dance under the theater's faded gold lights, and halfway through the song the sound cut out for a moment. Ruby laid her cheek on my shoulder. My favorite part, she whispered. No music, and everyone we love still in the room. I held her closer. So am I said. 2 years on, Ruby Carter events had taken over the storefront next door, too. My work hung in the lobby, including one photo of an empty living room full of afternoon light. It wasn't empty anymore. Our couch sat under those windows, a real one. Ruby's water glasses turned up on every surface. My tools claimed half the back room. And a rosemary plant survived on the sill through what I can only call a miracle. Some evenings Ruby came home late, kicked off her heels, and found me waiting in the kitchen, and I'd hold out my hand, and we'd dance with no music while dinner went cold on the stove. That became my favorite picture of our whole life. My wife, barefoot in my arms, laughing under the warm kitchen light, in a house we'd finally filled together. So let me leave you with this. If your best friend's grandmother asked, out of nowhere over Sunday dinner, when the two of you were getting married, and your best friend turned, looked you dead in the eye, and asked, what would you have done? And here's the harder one. Is there someone already in your life you've been calling just a friend, because wanting more felt like the fastest way to lose them? Tell me your story down in the comments. If this one landed for you, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.